With the recent legalization of marijuana in Colorado, talk of ganja is all the rage today. Is it harmful? Is it harmless? Should it be legal? Should it be illegal? What kind of authority does the federal government have? The problem is that a lot of information out there is dead wrong.
Man, I tell you what, Steven, when you talk, you really hit the nail on the head. After all, there are so many things that are being said that just are not true. Perhaps our freedom of speech is too limitless, and people are able to spread such misconceptions so freely.
So I'm here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, one of the first cities to actually decriminalize the drug and home to a few more than enthusiastic supporters.
Free the weed!
In order to get to the bottom of the issue. Marijuana, should it be legalized?
Yeah.
Good thing.
I definitely think that it should be legal.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Government's cracking down on unhealthy snacks and vending machines. Big gulps banned in New York. I'm sure you've heard of this. Good idea, bad idea?
I think that it's a good idea.
I don't want to say some people have reached the point where maybe they shouldn't make their own decisions, but I think that's what it's becoming.
I think it's kind of good, because then, it's better for everyone's health.
Think marijuana should be legalized?
Yeah. I mean, you can do whatever you want to your own body.
Except the big gulp.
Touche.
Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
This banned, this legal.
After all, we all know what diabetes is, and I would really rather not lose my foot. As for marijuana, I'm not going to be one of those guys that says that it's completely harmless and that you should smoke marijuana because it's so good for you. But I believe that it should be distinguished that nobody has ever died from direct marijuana use alone. This is not to be confused with being high while driving or operating any vehicle of any sort. Just for an example, alcohol has two totally different spreadsheets from people who overdose on alcohol compared to people who die while driving a vehicle while intoxicated. There's a difference, needs to be distinguished.
Now, there are some people who think that the federal government does not have the authority to make drugs illegal regardless of how harmless they may be, and that's a fully legitimate discussion to have. However, among everybody that we asked, everyone thought that marijuana should be legal, and not one made a constitutional argument.
Okay, I'll be that one. Marijuana should be legal simply on the fact that we are Americans and we should have the right to do with our own bodies what we want, which I'm glad you stated. Did you know that our founding fathers all grew marijuana and smoked marijuana? Did you know that the first law in America regarding marijuana was in order for farmers to grow marijuana? Did you know that the Declaration of Independence, the first draft, was written on hemp paper? Are you aware that all of these things were taken out during the 30s when there was a huge boom and everybody realized hemp is going to be the next billion-dollar thing, which was a lot of money before inflation just fucked everything over? But no, there are a bunch of rich fat cats that really don't want people to be excelling in life because that would make it to where they can't buy their fifth and sixth summer home, So there are a lot of things that need to be brought up when it comes to constitutional argument. What is that even about? They're repealing the Second Amendment. They're trying to limit freedom of speech. We have freedom of speech zones. What's that mean? They're trying to censor the internet. When it comes to the constitutional argument, you can try and argue a lot of things constitutionally, but it doesn't really matter because nobody really listens. The fact is that these people are stating the truth. Marijuana is not dangerous. You cannot die from it, okay? It is impossible to overdose from marijuana.
They all actually said
It's way less harmful than a lot of things, such as alcohol.
I think it's just another drug like alcohol.
It's not really harming anyone.
It doesn't really cause harm in most people's life, and certainly less harm than alcohol.
So considering that this is the premise under which the discussion of marijuana legalization is now being discussed, it's important to find out if it's true. So we sat down with Dr. Phyllis Boniface, a doctor who specializes in psychiatric care and, more importantly, the possible effects of marijuana.
It's actually very damaging. And to compare it with alcohol, just to give you a basis for comparison, humans are designed to metabolize alcohol in the liver at a certain rate per hour. The brain is largely fat, and this drug is stored in fat. And so what happens is after the intoxication is long over, we have a drug that's hanging around exerting an effect on your nervous system for weeks to months. People who smoke at a young age have a much higher incidence of psychosis and psychotic disorders.
What Dr. Boniface states is true. Marijuana that is high in THC can cause mental illness to people that are below the age of 20. Specifically, I guess men have a higher chance of developing psychosis. But from what I understand is the people that get the mental illness were going to develop it anyway. All it really does is it kicks it in faster. Now, what needs to be said, and this is a very important thing that nobody will ever mention, is that marijuana actually has a higher content of CBD than it does THC generally. Now, what is CBD? It's cannabidiol, and what it is a drug that has anti-inflammatory properties. It has, it helps with migraines. It helps with all this other really great stuff. But above everything else, it actually has an antipsychotic effect. It reverses psychosis. Now, I'm sure that Dr. Bonavin knew that. She just didn't really want to bring it up, or she might have, and you just decided not to throw it in the video. If you don't believe me, you should look up a company that develops a product called Sativex, and that what they do is they take nothing but the CBD out of the plant, and then they put it in a spray, which you spray under your tongue, and it helps to mellow out people who are psychotic.
I am a former community college history teacher who did time in a federal Christian Zionist drug gulag.
We think that there's a gene that predisposes people to schizophrenia, for example.
People here work for the military-industrial complex that kill people all around the world.
And when people are exposed to marijuana, they have an onset of their illness about 3 years before we normally would see it, and their psychosis is much worse.
The entire drug war is a fraud. The reason why marijuana and other drugs are kept illegal is because if they were legalized, the Pentagon, the CIA, and the White House would miss the money.
Now, forgive me, my crazy old pothead speak is a little rusty, but allow me to try and translate for a second.
Never mind the fact that you took advantage of a man who obviously has a mental illness and just exploited him to the internet, but you did so in an extraordinarily unprofessional way.
The war on drugs waged by this government has been largely ineffective. In legalizing drugs here in the United States, I believe that we would reduce the failed war on drugs, decrease crime, and likely see a result of less overall use, as in countries abroad who have followed such a policy.
Well, thank you for using such nice grammar, Stephen, but that's not what he said. What he said is if you took it out of the if you took it off of the illegal market, that the CIA and the Pentagon would miss the money. Now, I don't know about the Pentagon, but the CIA is in the drug business. They have been caught, and in fact admitted multiple times that they have shipped cocaine and opium into America, into inner cities, so that they can be distributed, and then they can go around and catching all these people, okay? You don't believe me, go ahead, do the research, it's there, they admit to it, and what he means by missing the money is it's a lot easier to go catch somebody smoking a joint compared to somebody that's going off and doing a real crime, okay? Did you know that over 800,000 people a year are arrested for marijuana possession or ticketed of some sort? Possession, okay? That's a lot of money that the police make just from marijuana being illegal. They would miss the money, okay?
There's this idea that legalizing marijuana would free up.
Now, I'm running low on time here, so what I'm going to go ahead and say is yeah, not a lot of people are actually in prison for possession of marijuana, but what the fact remains that there is a lot of law enforcement that deals with marijuana. The majority of law enforcement deals with marijuana, okay? You take marijuana off the illegal market, and all of a sudden cops have to do the real job, do their real job. That's really all I can fit into this video, you guys. Please, if you liked it, subscribe to me. You should check out Steven's videos. Just because this one video is completely misinformed doesn't mean all of his are. So go ahead and go watch his videos, watch the rest of my videos, and do your own research, guys. It's very important. Thank you very much. Bye.
It's just not true.